Welcome guys in today's video. Today's video is on basics concept of human right. This is Advocate Yash Mandlik. What are human rights? Human rights are those that belong to an individual or a group of individuals simply for human being or as a consequence of inherent human vulnerability or because they are requisite to the possibility of just society. Whatever the theoretical justification, human rights refer to the wide continuous series of things of values or capabilities thought to enhance human agency or protect human interest and declared to be universal in character in some sense equally claimed for all human beings in present as well as in future. It is common observation that the human beings everywhere require the realization of the diverse value and capabilities to ensure their individual and collective well-being. It is also common observation that this requirement, whether conceived or expressed, has a moral or legal demand, is often painful, frustrated by a social as well as natural force, resulting into the exploitation, oppression, persecution, and other form of deprivation. Deeply rooted in these twin observations are beginning of what today are called as human right and national and international legal processes associated with them. What is the development, historical development in the human rights? The expression human right is relatively new, having come into everyday parlance only since World War II, the foundation of United Nations in 1945, there was the adoption of the human rights in UN General Assembly of Declaration, a Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. It replaced the phrase natural rights, which fails in the disfavor in the 19th century, in part because the concept of natural law in jurisprudence had become controversial with the rise of legal positivism. Legal positivism rejects the theory long opposed by the Roman Catholic Church that law must be moral to be law. The term human right also replaced the later phrase the rights of men because the when we say all human rights, the human word includes men as well as women, which was not universally understood to include the right of women. Further, what defining human right? To say that it is a widespread acceptance of principle of human right is not to say that there is a complete agreement about the nature and scope of such rights, or indeed the definition. Among the basic questions that have yet to receive conclusion, answers are following. Whether human rights are to be viewed as a divine, moral, or legal element, entitlement, whether they are to be validated by the institution, culture, custom, social contract, principles of distributive justice, or has a perquisite of happiness or the achievement of human dignity, whether they are to be understood or irrevocable or partially revocable, and whether they are to be broad or limited in number and content. Even when the principle of human right is accepted, there are controversies whether human rights are a way of prevailing narrow conceived special interest over the common interest, whether they are political tools of predominantly progressive elites, whether they are stocking horses for Western economic imperialism, and so forth. It is just sometimes claimed that there exists no universally agreed upon theory or even understanding, including human rights. While talking about Universal Declaration, what is exactly a Universal Declaration of Human Rights or UDHR? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a milestone document in the history of human rights, drafted by representative with the different legal cultural background from all the regions of the world. The declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on 10th of September 1948. The resolution was 217A in the General Assembly, has a common standard of achievement for all the peoples of the all nation. It set out for the first time the fundamental human right to be universally protected, and it has been translated into over 500 languages over the globe. The UDHR is widely recognized as having inspired and paved the way for the adoption of more than 70 human rights treaties applied today on a permanent basis at a global and regional level, all containing reference to it in their preambles. While talking about human rights, why they are so important that it is been globally accepted. The human right education is important for many reasons. Below are some of the most frequently mentioned reasons why human right education is important. The human right education is crucial for building and advancing societies. Human right education empowers the people to know and claim and defend their rights, because now, due to illiteracy, we can say, or some other reason, people do not know their rights. So to know each and every human their rights, the human right education is also important. Human right education promotes participation in decision making and peaceful resolution of conflicts. Human right education encourages empathy, illusion, and non-discrimination. Human right education is often abbreviated as HRE. Human right education is also an essential tool for human right awareness and empowerment. Many teachers don't label their curriculum as human right education, but they include the feature of human right education in the educational framework that consider non-discrimination, gender equality, anti-racism, and more help build and understanding and respect in the human rights. The students learn about their rights, history, and responsibility as a citizen of the world. Reason why we need human rights. In 2011, the General Assembly adopted the United Nations Declaration for the Human Right Education and Training. It called a country to implement human right education in every sector of the society. Here are some of the reasons why we need human rights. First one is human right ensures people having need met. Everyone need access to the medicine, food, water, clothes, and shelter. By including this in the person's basic human right, everyone has a baseline level of dignity. Unfortunately, there are still milestones of people out there who don't have these necessities. But saying it's a matter of human right allow activists and others to work toward getting those for everyone. Second is human right protect vulnerable group from the abuse. The Declaration of the Human Right was created largely because of the Holocaust and the horrors of the World War II. During the time of the history, the most vulnerable society were targeted along with the Jewish population, including those with the disabilities and LGBT. The organization concerned with the human right focus on the member of the society most vulnerable to abuse from the power holders instead of ignoring them. The third is human right allow people to stand up to the societal corruption. The concept of the human right allows the people to speak up when they experience abuse and corruption. This is why the specific right, like the right to assemble, are crucial, because no society is perfect. The concept of the human right empowers the people and tell them what they deserve dignity from the society. whether it's the government or their work environment. When they don't receive it, they can stand up. Fourth is human right encourages freedom of speech and expression. While similar to what we just read above, being able to speak freely without fear of the brutal reprisal is more expansive. It encompasses ideas and forms and expression that not everybody like and agree with, but also one should never feel that they are going to be in danger from the government because of what they think. It goes both the ways, and protect people who want to debate or argue with certain ideas expressed in the society. Human right gives the people the freedom of practice their religion. The religious violence and oppression occurs over and over again, all across the history from the Crusades to the Holocaust to the modern terrorism in the same religion. The human rights acknowledge the importance of persons' religion and spiritual belief and let them practice in peace. The freedom is not bold, hold to the religion is also a human right. Sixth one is human right allows people to love who they choose. The importance of the freedom to love cannot be understated. Being able to choose what one's romantic life look like an essential human right. The consequences of not protecting these rights are clear when they look at the countries where LGBT people are oppressed and abused of, where women are forced into marriages they don't want. Human marriages encourage equal opportunities, the right of the work and make living allow people to flourish in their society without acknowledging that the work environment can be biased or downright oppressive. People find themselves enduring abuse or insufficient opportunities. The concept of the human right provides a guide for how workers should be treated and encouraged equally. Human right gives the people to access to education. The education is important so many reasons in a crucial society where poverty is common. The organization and the government concerned with the human rights provide access to the schooling supplies and more in order to halt the cycle of poverty. Seeing education as a right means everyone can get access, not just the elites. The human right protects the environment. The marriage between the human rights and the environmentalism is becoming stronger due to the climate change and the effect it has on the people. We live in the world, we need the land, so it makes a sense that what happens to the environment impacts humanity. The right to clean air, clean soil, clean water are all important as the other rights included in the list. And the last one is human right provides a universal standard that hold governments accountable. The when the UDHR was released, it had twofold purpose. First one was to provide the guideline for the future and force the world to acknowledge the World War II. The human right had been violated on a massive scale, with the standard for what the human right government can hold accountable for their action. Their power in naming an injustice and pointing to the precedent which makes the UDHR and other human rights document so important. Many of the concept of the human rights are implemented in Indian constitution as well. Human right in the relation to the dignity of one person. Two of the key values that lie at the core of the idea of human rights are human dignity and equality. Human rights can be understood as a defining those basic standards which are necessary for the life of dignity, and universality universality is derived from the fact that in this respect at least all humans are equal. We should not and cannot discriminate between them. These two beliefs or the values are really all the required to subscribe to an idea of human right, and these beliefs are hardly controversial. That is why the human right receives support from every culture in the world, every civilized government, and even major religion. It is recognized almost universally that state power cannot be unlimited or arbitrary. It need to be limited at least to the extent that all individual within its jurisdiction can live with certain minimum requirement of the human dignity. Moving further to the human rights in the relation to the liberty and equality. As per Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, guarantees life and the personal liberty to all persons. It guarantees the right of the person to life with human dignity. Therein are included all aspects of the life which goes to make a person's life meaningful, a complete and worth living. The human life has its charm, and there is no reason why life should not be enjoyed along with all permissible pleasures. Anyone who wishes to live in peace, comfort, and quiet within his house has a right to prevent the noise as pollutant reaching them. Moving further, human rights in relation to justice. The Universal Declaration of the Human Right clearly states that the respect of the human right and human dignity is the foundation and the freedom of speech, freedom, peace, and justice in the world. Adherence of the principle of the human right is very important task, especially in the criminal justice system. United Nations provides support in designing and implementing inclusive, context specific, and victim centered trans- transitional justice processes. Universal Declaration aims to address the cause, structural drivers, and enables the human right violation, contributing to prevention, sustaining peace, development, and reconciliation. This context currently include Afghanistan, the Central African Republic, Colombia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, El Salvador, the Gambia, Guatemala, Iraq, Lebanon, Mali, Mexico, Nepal, South Sudan, Sri Lanka, the Sudan, the Syrian Arabic Republic, Tunisia, and the Western Balkan, including Kosovo. Next is cultural diversity and human right. Article 4 of the human right has guaranteed the cultural diversity. The defense of the cultural diversity is ethical imperative inseparable from the respect of the human dignity. It applies to the commitment to the human right and the fundamental freedom, in the particular the right of the person belonging to the minorities and those of the indigenous people meaning people living in that community. No one may invoke cultural diversity to infringe upon the human right guaranteed by the individual law nor to limit their scope. These are the sources from which I took the information. With those help, I formed the video for you. Thank you guys, and we'll meet in the next video very soon. Thank you.